Dear students of class 9A and 9B, today's teaching, as mentioned in the board, the following points: Mesopotamian civilization, Sumer, Akkad, Assyria, religious script and achievements. You know, the Mesopotamian civilization was one of the most important civilizations of the ancient world. The people of Indus Valley civilization learned from their many unknown things, many new things, many unknown things, and by learning it from them, they were able to establish their own civilization. Now, the Mesopotamian civilization had some characteristic features. The first question: where was it taken place? The land between two rivers. The land between the two rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates, the Mesopotamian civilization was taken place. The Indus Valley civilization was taken place beside the river of Indus. That's why it was known as Indus Valley civilization. But Mesopotamian civilization was taken place in the land between two rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates. This land was very fertile, and in that very land, three regions, three kingdoms ruled for few years. These kingdoms were, as mentioned in the board. Look at it: Sumer, Akkad, and Assyria. They had their own religion, they had their own script, and they had their achievements. Now, first, Sumer. Who were the Sumers? Sumer first introduced their own culture, own civilization, and they established their own identities. How? By using the agricultural lands of the lands between the two rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates. Because the lands of that areas were very fertile, by utilizing its fertility, they earned a lot of money, and they, started international trade with different countries of the world. As a result of it, they were able to be rich, prosperous, wealthy, and happy. The Akkadians, the Sumerians, had their own religious concept. They always tried to pray. They always tried to pray their god and goddess in order to satisfy their god and goddess. That's why they constructed a number of ziggurats, means temples. And from these temples, they always offered various types of things for the satisfaction of their god and goddess. These things, the things they offered were wine, and grains, and and some, valuable items what they purchased. So these were the things the Sumers offered before their god and goddess, because they believed that without the satisfaction of their god and goddess, they would be unable to lead a happy and rich and prosperous life. So happiness would come only when their god and goddess would be satisfied. That's why they offered these kind of things. Then another came to power, that was Akkad. Who were Akkad? Akkad came to power. Akkad, were that group of people who also, in pursuance with the, Sumerians, in connection with the Sumerians, they ruled for few years. But actually, they also utilized the fertile lands of the land between the two rivers, Euphrates and Tigris. During the time of the Akkad, some cities also were developed, like Ar, Kis, and Lagos. These were the four cities. These of the four cities were developed during the period of the Akkad. But at the same time, Akkad also had great belief for their god and goddess. They also offered many things before their god and goddess, like animals, like grains, and like wine. These were offered by the Akkad by for their god and goddess. Now Assyria, you know, Assyria too believed in an afterlife, as many of their graves contain articles of daily use. They believed that the dead might need their usable item, their daily usable item after death. That's why these were given with the dead bodies. And next one, the script of the Sumerians, the script of the Akkad, the script of the Assyria. By 3200 BCE, the Sumerians had invented the earliest known form writing called cuneiform. The writing form they invented, the earliest writing form they invented called cuneiform. The Sumerians employed a pointed instrument called stylus. They use clay tablets, and the Sumerian script was called cuneiform and was written with a stylus. Wedge-shaped things which was used on soft clay tablets by the Sumerians, by the Akkad, and by the Syrians. Now, what are the achievements of them? The Mesopotamians, who are collectively known as, means the three dynasties or the three kingdoms who ruled separately, the Sumer, the Akkad, and the Assyria, they were collectively known as Mesopotamians. So the Mesopotamians were the first to introduce the arch dome, their architecture while constructing the buildings. They built many ziggurats, means temples, which were many stories high and beautifully decorated by them with tiles and precious stones. Now, why did they construct a number of ziggurats of many stories? What was their aim? What did they want to do? They had great respect for their god and goddess. They felt that without the satisfaction of their god and goddess, they would be unable to establish themselves prominently and strongly. So, in order to establish themselves strongly, in order to make them rich, prosperous, wealthy, and happy, they always offered beautiful things for their god and goddess, and they always prayed from time to time to their respective god and goddess, and at the same time they constructed a number of ziggurats, mean temples, for the satisfaction of their god and goddess. These ziggurats had a new style, a new architecture that introduced, the Mesopotamians introduced. What is the name of it? It was known as, for the first time they introduced that architecture of arc dome. Arc dome, the style, the architecture, arc dome, for the first time the Mesopotamian introduced. It was the ancient world, during ancient period, this architecture, arc dome and vault in their buildings they applied, and they had their many elaborate gateways, drains, city of Babylon, which was built beautifully with many elaborate gateways, proved that their architecture, their style also was good. Now question is, why was the city of Babylon constructed? What was the reason the city of Babylon built. The city of Babylon was built by King Nebuchadnezzar. King Nebuchadnezzar built the city of Babylon. Now, what is the city of Babylon? It was nothing but the hanging gardens of Babylon. The city of Babylon, which was built, there was a hanging garden there. There was a hanging garden there. Now, why was that hanging garden built? And why was it built by the king Nebuchadnezzar? Nebuchadnezzar king these beautiful rooftop gardens for his wife, as her wife missed the greenery of her homeland. Her wife came from a place there was huge greenery, but since she missed the greenery of her own place and came with her husband Nebuchadnezzar to his fatherland, So she missed the greenery of her. So she missed the greenery of her native land. That's why, for the satisfaction of his wife, Nebuchadnezzar built the hanging garden, the rooftop garden at Babylon. Whenever the city of Babylon was built by Nebuchadnezzar, that idea came to his mind, and hence he built the hanging gardens of Babylon, and it is considered as one of the greatest wonders of the ancient world. King Nebuchadnezzar built it for the satisfaction of her wife, and this is found. It was found in her homeland, this kind of greenery, found in her homeland. But now found that flat terrain of Mesopotamia was very amazing for the wife of Nebuchadnezzar. The hanging garden of Babylon, one of the greatest wonders of the ancient world till today. The differences between the Harappan and Indus Valley civilization, I shall discuss it next day. Before discussing differences between the Harappan and Indus civilization, I would like to analyze some points of the Mesopotamian people, their achievements. The Mesopotamian people achieved many success. What did the Mesopotamian people achieved? How? Because they earn money from their agriculture. Agriculture was the main source of income of the Mesopotamian people, and of course the kings of the three respective dynasties, Sumer, Akkad and Assyria. The kings also earn a lot of money from agriculture. Agriculture was looked after by, the work of agriculture was looked after by the kings themselves. There was no land left for any laborer, any peasant and farmer. All the lands belonged to the kings. So kings themselves cultivated crops. So huge crops were produced from their lands, and a number of people were allowed to work there. There was a system of paying them their wages. There was a system of feeding them. There was a system of providing them shelter. So by this way, the peasants, agricultural laborers, there was no peasants but only agricultural laborers, workers. They also were happy. At the same time, the kings also were happy. And because of that agricultural growth and development, the Mesopotamian age and its civilization also had become a great factor for the people. the international trade routes. They found out the international trading relationship with different countries of the world also helped them to supply their grains for other countries. The surplus grain they always supply to other countries of Europe, Asia, and Africa during during that period. And even the Indus Valley people also had a trading relationship with the Mesopotamian age, Mesopotamian civilization. Why? Because the international trade and international commerce helped them to come closer, and ultimately the Indus people also learned so many things from the Indus people, from the Mesopotamian people, and the technique method of their religious practices also they followed. That's why the system of offering different things for their god and goddess, people of Indus Valley civilization also followed. Up to this, my dear students, thank you.